Okie dokie, I believe we are all the way live. Hello and welcome to my graveyard. I am your host of the evening, the Cemetery Man from Salem, Mass. Always taking names and kicking candy ass. Live in the color here with you on Grande's Graveyard. Tonight we will dive into the world of witchcraft and wizardry. Yes, as you guys may remember, a few weeks ago, actually might have been a month or so ago, I put up a poll and it was asking if you guys would ever be interested in me covering the Harry Potter franchise. And believe it or not, I got a lot of votes yes. So it was like 83 to 17 yes. So to those 17% of you that have no interest in Harry Potter, I apologize. I really, really do. But tonight we'll be talking all things Harry Potter franchise, retrospective, all 8 films, zero regrets. And I'm super excited. This is a franchise that I actually go way back to. I can remember years and years ago when the first movie opened. I think it was at the ripe old age of like 4. And I remember this is back in the day when you could have movie theater birthdays. And it was like really, really cool. I remember my sister had one and I had one. I did Wild Thornberry's movie, which I believe also was 2000, 2001-ish. And then she did this movie, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, at least the first movie. And it was in America, it's the Sorcerer's Stone. Everywhere else, it's the Philosopher's Stone. So, whatever. I don't want to offend anybody here. But in America, it was Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. And I remember going to that. It was her big birthday party, and I had no expectations. I didn't know what Harry Potter was. I was a 4-year-old kid, and I remember being like blown away by the movie. And then that kind of like catapulted me into being a big fan of the series, whether it be the Chamber of Secrets or that Prisoner of Azkaban. It just really kind of got me on track. And I remember even going to read the books at a point. I read the first 2 books and then half of the third one before I finally gave up, because actually what happened was I saw the size of the 4th book and it looked like a coffee table. I was like, fuck, man, I am never going to read the 4th book. So I decided to hit the brakes on that. And I said, I'm not reading the 4th book. Screw that. I'm not even going to bother to finish this one. And I just decided to stick with the films. And what happened was, after I saw part 4, I almost felt that the series kind of peaked, because I remember seeing 5 and 6 in the theater and not really being too keen on them. And then when I got the whole, votes by people to say, hey, we want you to cover these, I actually had to go back and rewatch 5 and 6. It was only a second time viewing on both of those. And believe it or not, I thought I had seen them already. I had never seen the last movie, part 7, part 1 and 2. It's, of course, the last movie was a 2-parter, and I had never seen either one. So those were first time watches for me for this show. So I'm super excited to get into all things Harry Potter tonight. I hope you guys are too. I know it's a little bit of a detour from the typical horror talk, but this is something that it looked like people wanted. And this is something I definitely was interested in talking about, something different to tackle. So definitely always trying to keep things kind of fresh, but it looks like Mateo is here. Ciao, Grande. Hello, everyone. I'm excited for something different. Watch all the movies multiple times. My favorite is Goblet. That's when it goes full dark. Hell yeah, Mateo. I'm super excited to hear how you rank them. Of course, we will have the old tier list up here, of course, from S all the way down to F. We'll go movie by movie discussing the good, the bad, and the goddamn ugly of Harry Potter. And I'm super excited here tonight. So everybody, let me do a quick little cheers to y'all. Cheers, everybody. I've got a little bit of juice left, about a drop. So cheers, everybody. Cheers to Harry Potter and the movie franchise that it spawned. Okay, it might have been more than a little drop. I don't know. But we got a couple of, let's see, couple of freaking comments. Trenchy's back. Hey, what's up, dude? Good to see your name, man. Hope all is well with you, Trench. Let's see. The Harry Potter movies are so fun. Yeah, no, and I'm excited to get into them here tonight for sure. I love the CGI effects in the original. See, I would say the original has some iffy CG, but I will say that the practical used in it and the second one is some of the best practical effects you'll ever see. Especially, I think the effects in part 2 are some of the best effects you'll ever see in a movie. Robert Simeone is here. What's up, bloody hell? Bloody hell. Bloody hell, Harry. Azkaban is my favorite. That's almost everybody's favorite. So it would be fun to discuss that one. It's a big, big series fan. King Gore is here. It's not Leviosa. It's Leviosa. King Gore, welcome, Corey. Hope all is well with you, man. Nanette Necessities Witching Entertainment Hideout is here. Welcome, Nanette. Hope all is well with you tonight. I hope you all are ready to get into the wonderful world of witchcraft and wizardry. And we will start from the top. Yes, ladies and gents, we will start from the year 2001. I was at the ripe old age of 4 years old when I saw this, and I think it's third week of theatrical run on my sister's birthday, which would have made her maybe 9. Yeah, she would have probably turned 9 that day. And this is Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or AKA in every other country except mine, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. So again, I don't want to try to piss anybody off. I'm just saying Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone because that's how I saw it. And I saw it at that title. But brief plot synopsis. An orphan boy enrolls in a school of witchcraft and wizardry where he learns the truth about himself, his family, and the terrible evil that haunts this magical world. Yes, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Now, I have fond memories of going to see this movie in the theater, and the biggest thing to me with this particular movie is around this time is when I saw Star Wars and Star Wars Empire Strikes Back, Star Wars Return of the Jedi. I grew up with those movies on VHS. I actually have the VHSs here because I wanted to show you guys how much of a diehard VHS fan I was. This is old school, right? Widescreen edition Star Wars VHSs, and these are fucking sweet, man. This is how it was in the day of watching the old school horror, not horror, but old school Star Wars VHS tapes. Of course, you know, the original trilogy, the OG 3, and also the best 3, the only 3 that are, you know, well, I don't mind the prequels like most people, but I remember watching these growing up around this age, and then I remember seeing the original Harry Potter in the theater, and it very much in a similar way to Star Wars is a movie that kind of opens up this whole world to you, like this whole new world, this whole new thing of all this creativeness and all this, not just the force, but in this movie it's magic and potions and spells and colorful characters. And again, in that vein, I remember buying this on VHS tape, the original Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. I know the text may be a little bit hard to read, but I swear to you, this is the old school VHS. Not sure what the hell where the hell the case is for this son of a bitch, but you know, that is what it is. I remember watching that to death as a kid growing up. And I don't know, like I said, the world building here and the fact that these are world driven movies, at least the first 4 to me are. It was super cool for me as a kid to kind of go from one entity in Star Wars to this because I was just mesmerized by the whole Harry Potter universe. I thought it was just brilliantly done. And the guy they picked to direct this to kick this off was Chris Columbus. And Chris Columbus, I had always loved too, because he was the guy that did the first 2 Home Alones. He's the guy that did Mrs. Doubtfire. He's the guy that did Only the Lonely. He's the guy that did so many great movies that I loved as a kid and grew up to love as an adult. I mean, I just really like Chris Columbus. And I think he was the perfect choice to kick this franchise off. And the whole world he's able to build and establish around, I thought was really, really well done. And of course, you bring in a guy like John Williams to do the music, for at least for the first 3. Star Wars fame. So John Williams, you get John Williams in there. You get all these, like I said, creative characters that were, of course, created by J.K. Rowling and all these books. I just thought it was a brilliant, like, kind of world movie. And just the way they introduce you to this world. I thought it was just a mesmerizing experience, the first one. And that's not to say that, you know, even though it's a great world movie, it's not to say that there's not great characters in it either, because I love almost the entire cast and crew. Of course, you have Daniel Radcliffe as Harry Potter, Rupert Grint as Ron Weasley, and then, of course, Emma Watson as Hermione Granger. They're like the holy 3, the trio of the series. But then you had so many great actors around them, like Maggie Smith, a huge, you know, veteran, you know, actress from the United Kingdom as McGonagall, and Richard Harris as Dumbledore, Robbie Coltrane as Hagrid. So many great, you know, actors. And I actually appreciated that it wasn't an American movie, right? Like this was, they all had accents. They all had those like English, British-ish accents. And I know that could be a turnoff for some people, but I personally always loved it. I thought it added a different dynamic to things. And I'm glad that they didn't, like, you know, hose it down or water it down with like Hollywood-esque things and make it very Hollywood. No, this is very of its time, of its era, of its, you know, source land. And I really appreciate that. But we got a bunch of people in the comments. Let's not keep them waiting. Let me go back. Think we were here. I don't know what that is. Nice. Okay, thank you. Ciao, Grande and friends. Miss C, welcome. Welcome to the graveyard. I like the prequels. Jar Jar Binks is misunderstood legend. I like the prequels too, although I get a lot of hate for that. Ryan's here. Ryan Larkin, welcome, my friend. Ravenclaw for life. Hell yeah. I did green because I remember back in the day we did in school. They had like gym class, and they would place you in the houses, and what they did was they put a microphone underneath the witch hat, and they would call out your name, John Grande. And I remember, oh shit, Slytherin. And oh no, so I was Slytherin. That's why I chose green. I always thought it didn't fit. I thought I would be, anything but Slytherin, but I was in Slytherin when I did the school stuff. So I don't know. Maybe the Sorting Hat knew something about me that I didn't even know. Chris Columbus must have had some family separations growing up, because some of his movies deal with family separation, like Mrs. Doubtfire. Yes, and believe it or not, apparently it was his kids that convinced him to take and do this job. And I'm really happy they did, because I think there was no better director that they could have had to start this thing off. And to have it as an intro for a children's film, right? The series gets darker as it gets on. Like, it definitely, after part 2, they get darker and darker and darker progressively. And I would even say, to a point, some of them get too dark. Like, by the time you get to part 6, like, I think you get a little too dark. Like, there's not enough heart in there. But these first 2 movies have the most heart of any of them, and they're most brightly lit and stuff like that. And I think it was a good way to kind of start and kick off this world. Like, have it as bright as possible, and make it all stand out, because once you get to even part 3, things just start to get darker and darker and darker. But Chris Columbus, I think, was the perfect choice. I've been more of a Percy Jackson fan, book wise, and think if given the chance could blow Harry out of the water, but I enjoy Harry Potter as well. It's funny you say that, because Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief, was a movie directed by Chris Columbus, I believe, in 2010. So they even thought the same thing. He did so good with Potter. Why don't we bring him in for Percy Jackson? And I saw that movie. Now, I never read a Percy Jackson book in my life. I wouldn't lie to you. But the movie itself was a flop. I remember being a bomb. And unfortunately, that did not become a big franchise like they thought it was going to be. But they did get Columbus again, because they were like, there's nobody better to kick things off than him. And it just couldn't recapture that same magic. It wasn't the same thing. It was really trying to recapture lightning in a bottle. And we all know how next to impossible that is to do. Master of Fears here. Personally, not a fan of the franchise. I was always more into Star Wars. Hey, I like both, but I totally understand that. It's not for everybody. Hagrid is a legend, and Alan Rickman as Snape was perfect. I agree completely. I would say Alan Rickman, it's such a shame that he's gone. I would say Hagrid's my favorite character. Like, I looked the most up to Hagrid. I absolutely loved him, man. Let's see. The movie also has Warwick Davis and John Hurt. Absolutely. So many veteran actors that just do a wonderful job here. Oh, those are prayer hands. Okay. I have my thing like dimmed. I don't know. I'm sorry. I have my thing dimmed because the lighting in my room is very weird. So I couldn't make that out. I apologize. You're a wizard, Joe. You're a wizard, Grande. Of course I am. The movie is not a good representation. Okay, so there you go. I just want to say this real quick. Fuck J.K. Rowling. Well, yeah, J.K. Rowling is definitely someone who gets her fair share of hate nowadays. But let's stick with the movies for sure here. Let's stick with the source material and discuss a little bit more about this first movie. Now, I really like the story, and I've heard people compare it to Star Wars, where it's a young orphan boy who learns that he has this great talent, and his parents aren't in the picture anymore, and then he gets taken off by this hermit and to a magical different land. It is definitely similar in its setup to how Star Wars is. Like, I definitely always saw those parallels because I saw those movies around the same time. But I think all the actors just do a great job here. I really think Daniel Radcliffe is great. And even though he's a little bit shaky in the first film, he would go on to get better and better as these movies went on, especially like if you watch the second film. I think he's way better in the second movie. Like, he's just really, really, even in the 1 year difference, like, it's just a tremendous leap for the actor, in my humble opinion. The story, basically, he gets to school there, and he's introduced to all these crazy things and teachers and stuff like that, and the houses, whether it be Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin. And he's kind of sorted into all these different houses and makes all these different kind of friends. And basically, you're just kind of introduced to the world. You're shown the sporting events of Quidditch that they play, and Harry's really, really ends up being good at that. And his father was great at that, but he didn't know. There's a lot of that. I mean, I think there's a lot of really good stuff in this first movie, and it's a lot of good exposition and a lot of good ways of just kind of setting up. To me, it's like one of the great setup films of all time. Then the finale, I think, is fairly good. You have the three of them kind of have to trick a three-headed dog and play this game of wizard chess and fly around on the broom to get the key. And it ends up not being like a final battle. It's kind of just a final confrontation between he and Professor Quirrell, who actually has Voldemort on the back of his head, which that CG didn't really age the greatest. Some of the CG in this film doesn't age the greatest, especially the first film. I would say it gets like some of the practical in the second film is definitely a step up, but the first film, I don't know. I would say this movie stands out mainly for its heart. I think this is like the Harry Potter movie with the most heart to it. And I think in a lot of good ways, like I always loved some of the character interactions in this movie, whether it be the finale where, Harry's getting on the train and I'm not going home. Not really, and they play that great John Williams score as he has that last moment with Hagrid and they get on the train back to home. I really like that. I think that's just a nice, like, kind of heartwarming moment. And, Richard Harris's Dumbledore, who I think is the best Dumbledore, he would sadly pass away after the second film and they would recast him with a decent actor. But I definitely think Richard Harris was the better of the two. He was just really more like laid back and quiet and more stoic. But I don't know. I really like this movie. I think it's really good from top to bottom. Very visually appealing movie, very well directed, very well done, in my opinion, by Chris Columbus. I think he did a great job. He was a great choice for this movie. It's a long one. A lot of these movies are about 2.5+ hours. Like they're all around the same length. And maybe some like 10 minutes, give or take here or there. But I definitely think there's, more to be liked here than not. Let's see. I think we were here. I remember those Percy Jackson fans tried so hard to like that movie when it first released. LOL. They did. They tried to push it out like the Narnia movies. Yeah, no, it just didn't. It didn't work. I remember going to see it, and I was older at that point. I might have been 13 when Percy Jackson, the Lightning Thief, came out. And I remember that was the hype around the movie. It was like everybody, we were like, okay, this is going to be the next thing because Harry Potter was winding up at that point. I believe Deathly Hallows Part 1 had come out that same year as Percy Jackson and just didn't catch on. It happens, man. It really does. There was an underrated 90s movie called The Page Master that is like a pre-Harry Potter starring Macaulay Culkin, who, of course, was made infamous by working with Chris Columbus in the Home Alone films. Harry is Luke. There's differences, but at their bases, they're the same. The sooner people accept that, the better. I would agree with that, actually. I think they're very similar characters. And remember our combo on J.K. Rowling that didn't make it into Summertime Slashing. I don't remember that. What the fuck? Did we talked about J.K. Rowling behind the scenes? I don't remember that. Well, I don't remember, but I'm sure it was bad. And at least in the first Potter, we don't have Jar Jar Binks. Jesus. Oh, no, not Jar Jar Abrams, you mean? I don't know. We do not have an annoying character like that. Now, a lot of people would say Dobby in the sequel is an annoying character like that, like an annoying CGI character. But I don't know. I like mainly everything about this first movie. It's one of my favorites for sure. I think it's a really, really good film. Yeah, Corey, it's a fine movie, but they get a lot of things wrong that the sequel tries to pick up and fix, but just made more of a mess. Yeah, no, that was just, it seems like it was just handled the wrong way. I don't know what they could have done different. I have never read the books, so I couldn't really say. I'm sorry my phone freezes me out. Don't be sorry at all. I appreciate you being here. Hey, leave my man Jar Jar alone. Oh, no. One of the best entry films to a series ever. Fire. I was so on board with the Wizarding thing back in 2002. So was I. It completely, like, to me, it's the perfect because it made me want to see the second one. And I remember going to see the second one in the theater when it came out the following year. I was so excited to see the second one or whenever the first one came out. No, I know it 2001 and then the sequel was 2002. Man, I'm getting old VHS, man. It feels like it was yesterday. It's funny, man. Like a lot of people get shocked. Like I was talking with Mateo one night, like just straight up talking with Mateo. And he couldn't even believe I still had VHS. He was like, "Really?" Honestly, what it was for me is that my guess is my dad didn't believe in DVD, and he didn't want to throw out all those VHSs. So I have like every Bond film on VHS. I still to this day have a player, so I don't throw any of my VHSs out. I kind of still use them. I'll have a occasional retro VHS night. So I don't know, but it's true. Those were the old days. I don't like Harry's aunt and uncle and cousin. Oh, the Dursleys are the worst. I mean, they're terrible. But the actors do a really good job. Of course, Vernon, the actor plays Vernon. Richard Griffiths, he's unfortunately passed away. Fiona Shaw as the aunt, and then Harry Melling as Neville, not Neville, I'm sorry, Dudley. They are just awful people. I mean, just the biggest, like, hate them so bad. But I don't know. I think they do their job, and it's fun when Harry has to escape from them, especially in the first couple movies. In this one, all the letters keep coming in the mail, and then they just fly in an overabundance. It's just crazy. And they even try to go off to the middle of nowhere, just trying to prevent Harry. And then the second one, Ron Weasley picks him up in the invisible car. I don't know. I always liked escaping from the Dursleys, but I always felt too that like after the second one, couldn't he have just lived with Hagrid? Like, why did he just move in with Hagrid? Like, it was just so annoying. After a while, it's like, geez, like, how many of these times is he going to have to get away from the fucking aunt and uncle? Like, it just felt like after the second one, it was enough. Yeah, the first Harry Potter is really fun. I enjoy the chess sequence. Oh, it's awesome. And that's probably Ron's biggest moment of the franchise, which you would think he would go on to do more, but like, that's his biggest character moment to me. Like, he sacrifices himself so Harry can win the chess game and then encounter he who shall not be named, Mr. Lord Voldemort. Sean Blue Digital is here. What's up, everyone? What's up, good brother Sean? Hope all is well with you tonight. I love the part when Harry is at the zoo and unknowingly uses his parcel tongue to switch the places between his cousin and the snake. Yes, and the snake, the CGI snake, even thanks him. Thanks. Very fun. I enjoy that sequence. I think that's a lot of fun, man. I just everything about this movie. I think is just really, really solid. A lot of people in the horror community has VHS in the YouTube community have VHS. Sorry, I read that wrong. But yeah, no, that's true. I'm just from like a younger demographic. And so I think people are just surprised that I still have them and collect them and stuff. But not as much as I do Blu-rays. Like I won't lie, but I like VHSs. It's just something old school. Dude, so many of them, right? Snape is gone, of course. There's a lot of them that have passed away. Uncle Vern has passed away. Alan Rickman's gone. Vern Troyer, who's in this as one of the, I think he's his Grip Hook, who's one of the elves. He's gone in this. I mean, there's so many people that from the start of this that has sadly passed away. John Hurt, of course. I mean, so many people that are just no longer with us. That were in these movies, and these movies are barely 20 years old. It's quite sad to see how many of them have sadly passed on. So I don't know. It's nice to go back and kind of see this, and see these actors, and I think they all do a wonderful job. Hey there, Corey. They did a good thing with the CGI three-headed dogs. Yeah, no, I would say that the only CG that doesn't the troll looks quite bad, and I would even say the Quidditch sequence in this one is far less good visually CGI wise than it is in the sequel. The sequel, it does such a good job with that Quidditch sequence. This one, it's like you can tell it was still kind of early 2000s. They were working out the kinks of CGI, and it kind of shows. You could tell for sure. I feel the same way. Why can't Harry live with someone because his aunt? Yeah, no, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand. After the second one, it should have just been like, he's staying with fucking Hagrid. That's it. Like, no more of this. Or stay with the fucking Weasleys. The Weasleys have 10 kids. They couldn't have fit one more fucking kid that didn't have, was it because he didn't have red hair? Like, I don't know. I thought that was just quite weird that they went that way. But if I had to rank Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, it's an S for me. I think it's the perfect kickoff to a very solid franchise overall. And to me, like one of the most perfect kickoff films. So I would say, to me, a slam dunk S tier movie. And it's one, I know, again, I didn't get too much into the story or whatever. It's really not that type of film. Like the story, it's decent. It's there. I think it gets better. Like some of the stories in the other sequels get better. But for me, world building movie, creating this world, Chris Columbus, a lot of the children actors, and then opposed to the veteran actors. I just think it's a really good, solid movie overall. So I'm going to come in with an S for the original Harry Potter. I really like this movie, which of course brings us to the sequel, which came out just the following year. And I remember also seeing this one in the theater. And I guess I can, tell you guys this, and this might be a shocker because it's most people's at their bottom. This is my favorite of the series. This is from the year 2002. This is Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. An ancient prophecy seems to be coming true when a mysterious presence begins stalking the corridors of a school of magic and leaving its victims petrified. Yes, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. My favorite of the bunch. I really love Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I think it's easily always been my favorite. And I actually have the special edition DVD from all the way back in the day. And I remember playing this. I don't know if the discs are still, the discs are still here. Discs are still intact. Sometimes the discs get loose, but I remember back in the day on disc 2 playing the Chamber of Secrets interactive game where you could go down to the Chamber of Secrets and you had to like fight the snake and stuff like that. Just shit I loved. I also have the PS2 game. I mean, I loved this one. This was easily always my favorite of the bunch. Maybe this nostalgia, I don't know, but this was always easily my favorite of the bunch. And of course, Harry is told by this magical elf Dobby that he's not supposed to return to Hogwarts. Of course, he's running into all these problems. He can't get through platform 9 3/4. He has to fly there with Ron, where they encounter the Whomping Willow. It just seems like nobody wants Harry Potter back. Like, an entity does not want him back at the school because bad things are going to happen. And of course, one by one, these people are getting petrified, and everyone's thinking that it's Harry Potter that's going around and doing it. And basically, it's like kind of a who done it, like who is doing this, who's petrifying these kids, and all the fingers point towards Harry, but we know it's not Harry. And it's through he and Hermione and Ron that they have to kind of solve the mystery as to what's happening and what's going on. And they hear this mythical story about this chamber of secrets that was opened by the heir of Slytherin, of course. And it's believed to be home of this ancient monster. And, I just always thought this one had the best story. I love the story here. I think it's really good stuff. The whole kind of theme of petrifying kids. It's funny. It's like this movie, even though it's getting to the darker parts of the series where you get to 4, 5, 6, and 7, I definitely think it's darker than the first one. Tonally and visually, it looks the same as the first one. Granted, you brought Chris Columbus back. That's why. But like subject matter wise, I definitely think it's a little bit darker for sure. Like you have kids like getting frozen and shit like that. You have these giant practical spiders in this movie. You have the giant basilisk snake at the end that is practical throughout most of it. It is CG in some shots, but the practical shots of the snake were just tremendous to me. I was like, wow, like totally to this day, 21 years later, I'm totally wowed by how good the special makeup effects were on that snake. I thought that looked so good, and to this day looks fantastic. Like I said, the Quidditch sequence looks much better. I definitely think this is one that it takes a little bit darker of a step, but it doesn't go too far. Like it's just kind of dipping its toes in the water of being a little bit darker. And I don't know. I always loved this one. This was my favorite of the series from a kid on. Like it's one of those, and I'm surprised that a lot of people don't really like it. It's the lowest rated on IMDb. It's generally towards the bottom of people's lists, and I couldn't tell you why. I don't really understand why, because the story kind of starts to play out, and we come across this diary that Harry finds, and he starts speaking to this person named Tom Riddle in the diary, and he starts to uncover more and more secrets about the Chamber of Secrets. And I just loved the whole way this one played out, like people getting picked off one by one. At one point Hermione gets petrified, and holy shit, there goes the brains of our whole operation. And then this whole kind of finale that leads up into the chamber, and from the girls' bathroom into the Chamber of Secrets, where Harry has to take on this snake. But I thought in particular the dialogue between Harry and the villain was just tremendous. Of course, we have Christian Coulson in this movie playing Tom Riddle, who, for my money, it's the best performance of the series. It is in this movie, and it's the villain playing Tom Riddle, Christian Coulson, who I think just steals this whole movie. I mean, he's great as Tom Marvolo Riddle. I thought he was really, really good. And basically what he is he's the 16-year-old version of Voldemort, and he's preserved himself in this diary because he's reserved his soul in 7 different Horcruxes, so he could come back, right, if need be. And this is one of the Horcruxes. We don't find out that it's a Horcrux till later, but I thought he just did a wonderful job in this, man. Just really good stuff. And some of the lines, like, how is it that a baby with no extraordinary magical talent was able to defeat the greatest wizard of all time and escape with nothing but a scar when Lord Voldemort's powers were destroyed? I mean, it's just so good. As he says, my Voldemort is my past, present, and future. I mean, just really good stuff. And surely you didn't think I was going to keep my filthy muggle father's name. I fashioned myself a new name, a name I knew wizards everywhere would one day fear to speak when I became the greatest sorcerer in the world. And Harry, Albus Dumbledore is the greatest sorcerer in the world. And Dumbledore's been driven out of this castle by the sheer memory of me. Just fucking great. I love that final interaction between those two in the Chamber of Secrets as they're going mano-y-mano. And Radcliffe really fucking does a good job acting right there with him. Like, I love when he's like, I bet Dumbledore saw right through you, because he tried to frame Hagrid. And of course, Hagrid goes to Azkaban. And I thought, man, that performance towards the end here was so good. I love these two together. I think they did a great job. And then, of course, Harry must battle the basilisk, and you can't look into its eyes or it'll petrify you. And of course, he has this kind of fox bird, this phoenix bird that Dumbledore shows to him that kind of blinds it so he has a fair fight to fight this giant snake. And I thought it was tremendous. I really, really like this movie. I think overall it's just so fucking good. I like the humor in it. I like the returning to this world. I don't know. I just really, really enjoy this movie. But we have a ton of comments. Let's go back to where we were. I think we were here. Brit's in the house. Brit, welcome. Solid movie. Oh, hell yeah. I would put it at an A. I think that's fair for sure. A is good. This movie reveals more about Voldemort. Yes, you could learn the 16-year-old version of Voldemort. And I thought it was kind of smart to make it where Voldemort was like a kind of good looking guy. Like he didn't look like a creep. At least he didn't look like it. Like they recast this role in the Half-Blood Prince, and I didn't like the actor they picked. He just looked creepy. Like you could look at him and go, he's up to no good. This actor, I wouldn't think that off the bat. Like he just has this kind of innocent look to him. And then, when you hear him speak, you're, oh shit, this guy's bad news. Like I thought it was really well sold by the actor. Chamber Secrets is my favorite too. Easily my favorite. Like I always loved it. I have that second on DVD, and that Whomping Willow was cool. Yeah, no, totally, man. I love this one. I like the second one, but I would put it in A. I think most people would probably put it lower than that. So I'm happy you'd put it in A. Of course. Well, we didn't get Voldy. Voldy has a nose in this one. Of course, Tom Riddle has a nose. We don't see the no-nose Voldemort until the end of part 4. Trenchy, if you ever see Return to Oz, that movie is a very dark movie. Okay, Chamber Secrets is dope between the Polyjuice Potion adventure and Moaning Myrtle. Dude, totally. I love the Polyjuice Potion sequence where they have to drink this potion to look like Crabbe and Goyle, and they talk with Malfoy, and Malfoy's burying them the whole time, and they have to both like kind of pretend that they're not bothered by it. I thought that was quite funny. And what are you doing? Why are you wearing glasses? Oh, I was reading. And I didn't know you could read, which apparently was ad-libbed by Tom Felton, the actor. I thought that was really funny. Chamber of Secrets gave fans that early taste of teen emo vibes out of the Harry Potter movie. Did it? You think so? I don't know. I don't know if I felt emo vibes. I wouldn't say that. I'm surprised that the second one is the one people hated because I love the first 4 of the movies. I would say that too. I like the first 4 the best too. Like with not even close. I don't think any of the 4 after the first 4 are even close to as good as the first 4. But a lot of people hate part 4 as well. A lot of people say the Goblet of Fire is the worst one. It's either this or Goblet of Fire. Most people say is the weakest. And I don't see that at all, personally. Definite emo vibes. Okay. Kenneth Branagh's character in this is quite annoying, but I guess he's supposed to be. He, of course, is Gilderoy Lockhart, who is this like famous wizard, and basically he's a fraud. And only thing he's good at is making people forget things. They forget their memories and stuff like that. He has learned things and whipped them off and wrote about them in these fancy books. And he's the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, which always ends up being like a schmuck or someone who can't hold the position. It's like a different person in every single movie. It's actually pretty funny. But in this one, he's not like, for say, a villain, but until the end where he tries to turn on them because they try to make him go down into the chamber with him. I think he does an okay job. His character is not very likable, but I'll tell you this, I'll take him over Umbridge any day, the Umbridge character in Harry Potter Part 5, which I have an alternate title to, which will be fun for people. I still have never seen a single Harry Potter movie, but maybe that'll happen someday. I would stick with the first 4, man. I think the first 4 are pretty solid movies. Like 1 and 2, perfect, like heart-filled, almost children movies in a way, even though the second one gets a little darker. But I think 3 and 4 is where it kind of peaks. And then that's really it. I don't really, after that, it's going to be interesting as we go down the road with this. Who's Horcrux? Yes. Spelled a little bit differently though, Brett. But no worries, I won't say anything. If you like fantasy adventures about witches, you should watch them, Sean. Yeah, no, I think they're good watch, Sean. I definitely think you would not like regret if you watched the first couple at least. Hey, glad you're reviewing the series. Just came to say, hey, I'll check in on you another day. Have a great night. Bye, Britt. Thank you so much. I appreciate you staying for a little bit. It was awesome to see you. I would say Order of Phoenix is the weakest one, although there are good parts of it, like the intro of Luna Lovegood, baby, who they should have done a lot more. Yeah, I would agree with that. I like all of them but one of them movies. Okay, it'd be interesting to hear which one you do not like. I might agree with Trench. We'll get there. I'm with the Order of Phoenix and one other one is my weakest, but we'll get there. But yeah, with that being said, I really like Harry Potter Part 2. And once again, John Williams returns to do the music, Chris Columbus to do the direction. So it feels and sounds the same generally. This is the same Hogwarts that we see in the first movie, where it takes a drastic change after this. I like to return to the same place, just kind of feels more comfortable. I love how this one wraps up where Hagrid gets out of Azkaban. And just John Williams' music here is just so great as Hagrid goes and thanks the three that got him out, and with tears in his eyes, and they're crying as well. And it's not Hogwarts without you, Hagrid. And they all get up and just kind of clap for him, and the whole kind of dining room, they all started clapping for Hagrid. And I thought that was a beautiful way to end this particular film, because it's like Hagrid is the heart and soul of Hogwarts. And it's not Hogwarts without him. And when he comes back in, it's like one of those moments where everybody kind of looks around, is like, Hagrid, you're the man. Like, and everybody gives Hagrid a standing applause. And I don't know why. Like when I was a kid, I remember like tearing up at the ending of this. Like I know there are some people that'll say, "Oh, it's so bad, it's so sappy." Like they compare it to something like Rocky IV, where if I could change, you could change. Everybody can change. Like the fucking Rocky IV speech, where he's, I guess it's better than 20 million, where Rocky's trying to win over the Russians, and the Russians fucking, that I think is sappy for sure. This though, I thought was perfect. I thought it was quite perfect. Like I thought the fucking whole finale of this was really well done and not overly sappy. I thought it was quite good. So I really like this one. In my opinion, the absolute best of the Harry Potter movies for me. I love this one. To me, another S tier. I absolutely love Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, my personal favorite of the whole bunch. And maybe that is nostalgia. I don't know. But it seems to be that one gets the shortest end of the stick, and I don't really understand why. I personally always loved Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, so that is what it is. Never saw a Harry Potter, never read the books, just stopping to show Grande some love. Thank you so much, Missy. I need some love. It's been a rough couple weeks. Oh, you like my Rocky impression? I've seen a lot of changing throughout this fight. It's funny you bring up Rocky. I'm watching Rocky 2 right now. Really? That's hysterical. If I could change, you could change. Everybody could change. That when I saw that, even as a kid, I was like, geez. I was like, this is fucking, like, I love Rocky 4. It's like a long music video, basically. Like that's Rocky 4. But I don't know. That ending is truly sappy. Although the photographs come to life. Oh yeah, no, and just like everything about the school, the rotating staircase, and the candles that just float above the tables to give the lighting of the school. And I don't know. I just thought it was a really beautiful world that they were able to create here. And I think Chris Columbus is a big reason for that. So I always like to credit Chris Columbus. I think he did a great job. Of course, they moved on from Chris Columbus after this, because the next film on our list, it gets a little bit darker, little bit of change, but this is most people's favorite of the franchise, and for definitely good reasons, in my opinion. I think this is a damn good movie. Of course, this came out 2 years later. So they took a break in 2003, and in 2004, they came out with this movie here, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Harry Potter, Ron, and Hermione return to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry for their third year of study, where they delve into the mystery surrounding an escaped prisoner who poses a dangerous threat to the young wizard. Okay, Harry Potter Part 3. Most people's favorites, and I understand why. Totally get why. I think it's a really damn good movie as well. Of course, Chris Columbus steps out of the director's chair, and they bring in Alfonso Cuarón, who I think is a wonderful filmmaker. He's made films like Roma. He's made films like Gravity. He's made films like Children of Men. So many good movies Alfonso Cuarón made, and he brought probably the best direction style that any of these movies have, in my opinion. Like Chris Columbus was perfect to kick it off, but I don't think Chris Columbus could have done this particular movie, this particular story, with that same style that Alfonso Cuarón brought. And what do I mean by that? There's a lot of different unique shots in this movie that I thought were quite interesting. There's a lot of long takes in this, if you'll notice. So there's a scene at the Leaky Cauldron where where Harry's being warned by Ron's father about Sirius Black, who's played by Gary Oldman, who is a great actor, and I love Gary Oldman in anything. He also shows up here in this movie. And of course, Ron's dad's trying to warn Harry, and they have this really long take in the Leaky Cauldron. like don't blink. It's a really he starts talking at the table. They move over here, they move over here or here, and it was really fun to watch. I was like, wow, like all of a sudden it feels like you're watching an independent film, like just really cool. And in some of the ways that he would shoot the sequences on the train, like when the Dementors, which are the kind of villains of this movie that'll suck out your soul if you let them. You see the train, they're on the train to Hogwarts, and all of a sudden, this water in the bottle turns to ice because it gets colder when the Dementors come. I thought that was really well portrayed in the film. The direction style here was just really good to me. I think this is a really big step in a different direction. Like this is where things started to get a little bit more dark. Like we're out of the heart-filled Harry Potter movies with Chamber of Secrets and Sorcerer's Stone, respectively, the Chris Columbus ones, and here we kind of step into a more of an artist, more of a guy that was, you know, directing the hell out of this movie. And I think he did a great job. Of course, this is the last one they'd have John Williams, and I definitely think they sorely miss John Williams after this. Like, I really don't think any of these movies hit the music like John Williams did in the first three. And part four is a perfect example. Like, I like part four a lot, but they missed John Williams. Like, they sorely missed him, man, because I think he just did a great job. There's a great sequence where Harry is introduced to Buckbeak, which is this like half eagle, half horse thing that can fly. And he's riding Buckbeak and flying over the water. And it's a great, one of my favorite, probably my favorite shot of the series is Harry does this like, woohoo, over the water. It's just a tremendous moment. To me, almost any single fantasy film should have that moment, like, right? Like a never ending story, of course, has the moment on Falcor where the kid is raising his arm up on Falcor. And then there's certain, you know, fantasy movies where, you know, you just get those beautiful, fantastical moments. But that shot to me was just so beautiful. I loved that shot of him above the water on Buckbeak. I thought that was great. And the John Williams music, just great. I mean, so great. And his music really captured that world perfectly to me. There's some interesting things in this one. It does get a little bit darker, like I said. There's some interesting sequence where of course, you encountered Professor Lupin, who's played by, I think, David Thewlis is his name. I want to make sure I got his name right there. I think it's David Thewlis. I'm trying to find his damn name. I think I'm right. I don't know. They don't show his name in the cast here for some reason. Yeah, he plays Professor Lupin, and basically they do this whole class task that this thing comes out of this box, and basically it's going to turn into the thing you fear the most. And you have the idea is you have to turn it into something ridiculous and say ridiculous, and it turns into something, you know, ridiculous or silly. I liked that whole sequence. I thought that was good. I thought some of the dialogue between Harry and Lupin, the David Thewlis character, was really good as they're talking about Harry's parents and stuff like that. I thought that was really nice, and how he was their good friend. And I don't know, I really liked him in this. I wish Lupin would have been in these movies more. I definitely would have liked to see the David Thewlis character a little bit more in these movies, because after this one, he's really barely in it. You know, it's kind of a shame. But I mean, it is what it is. You have an introduction to time travel in this movie, which I will say I've never been big on those type of finales where we watch it play out once and then they go back in time and we basically watch it play out again, but they do some different things to try to change what happened. That always, like, the sequence is good and it's well directed by Cuarón, but I don't know if time travel here works for me. Like, I don't know, just didn't, because then it's like you could make up the point, oh, why wouldn't you do that in future films to save Cedric Diggory in the next movie, for example? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just, the whole time travel thing, I don't really like going there, but they do, and they never bring it back. So I don't know, iffy, but I do think it's well done. Like, it's well tackled here. I just don't know if I like the whole time travel thing. That's in any movie, so it's not really a knock on this film. Of course, the Dementors keep haunting Harry. There's a really dark Quidditch sequence, and he learns the spell Expecto Patronum. He's trying to learn the spell to ward off the Dementors. And then you basically get this really wild finale that, I'll be honest, I don't know if I like as much as most people, and especially people that read the books. Basically, the finale here, we are introduced to Sirius Black, who is the Gary Oldman character. He's escaped Azkaban, and it's he, David Thewlis, and fucking Snape in this kind of underneath the Whomping Willow. And I love the scene. Like, it's a great scene where these guys are really like three veteran actors just acting at each other. It's really fun to watch. Like, Snape, why don't you go home and play with your chemistry set? And I did my waiting 12 years of it in Azkaban. Just great. I love Gary Oldman as Sirius Black. He's really good. And we don't know in this film if he's good or bad. We're led to believe he's bad, but we're also kind of, learned that he's not. You get this reveal that I think is quite bad. I think it's bad writing. And I know a lot of people disagree with this who read the book and love the film, but I never liked this twist of Ron Weasley's rat, Scabbers, is really this man named Peter Pettigrew in disguise. And basically what happens is Ron Weasley's rat turns heel. And he was undercover as Ron Weasley's rat for like 12 years as this fucking rat. Like, what? Like, I don't know. I just always thought that was quite lame. Like, even as a kid, I was like, what? Like, Scabbers is a fucking villain? Like, I don't know. And I know the books, for what it's worth, the books explain it better, that Harry's parents, Thulis and Sirius Black, they were all marauders. And what do I mean by that? They could turn themselves into animals. Like the Professor Lupin is a werewolf. Sirius Black could turn himself into a black dog. I think Harry's mother was a dove. And then you had Peter Pettigrew, who could turn himself into like a rat or a mouse. That's much better explained in the books than it is in the movies. I don't really think it's really well done here in this movie. I think it's quite weak. Like, I don't like the whole reveal of Peter Pettigrew. Blah, like very blah to me. Like, I don't like that scene, but the rest of it, I do think as the rest of it plays out, it's really, really well done, where Harry thinks his father saved he and Sirius Black from the Dementors. And then when they go back in time, he realizes, oh my God, it was me that casted the spell that saved this. Like, it's within me. And he comes to that realization that he can be the great wizard that he is talked about being and believed to be. And he does Expecto Patronum and kind of wards off all of the Dementors. I thought that was a really inspirational scene, like one of the better Harry Potter moments for me. I love this movie. I think it's damn good. So I don't know. Let's see what the comments say. Now, I love the third movie, and it's definitely an S for me. Well, it might just be an S for me as well. This movie is the only movie that does not have Harry's abusive foster family. Believe it or not, no, this does. This does have the fucking Dursleys. In this one, one of the Dursleys, I think it's Vernon's sister, comes and he turns her into a fucking balloon. And she just flies away into the air. Like, okay, but I felt like that could have been cut out. Like, I don't think you needed any of the shit of the Dursleys in this movie. Like, you get this interesting, like, unique bus sequence where, all right, Ernie, punch it, Ernie. Like, this guy who's driving this wacky bus. I liked that sequence. I thought that was a lot of fun. And if you notice, the bus driver, no, I'm sorry, not the bus driver, but one of the bus attendants is a Death Eater by the end of the fucking series. Weird. They never say it, but if you look closely, he becomes a Death Eater. Let's give a shout out to John Cleese. Oh, of course, he's nearly headless Nick in this. Love him. John Cleese is great. That's not true. Harry Potter's aunt and uncle are in every movie except the fourth movie, which maybe is the reason I love the fourth movie so much. Harry Potter 3 was the peak for me. It's the best one for most people. I wouldn't say it's the best, but it's definitely, to me, like one of the best. I would definitely say like top 2 or 3. Harry Potter 3 was the peak for me from the beginning with the shrunken head bust. Then you get Sirius Black, Buckbeak, time travel, Lupin is a werewolf, and a crazy ass finale that never lets up. No, that's a great, I think it's a great point. And then of course the John Williams music and direction from Corone. I could totally see this being someone's favorite. Too much Expecto Patronum in this movie. Okay, so Mateo, not too keen on this one. Interesting. Patronum spell, dude, I love it. I like that. I think Radcliffe does a good job. Plus Pettigrew. See, and I don't know. I never liked the twist there. I thought that was weak. Like, okay, what are the chances he would go undercover as Ron's rat and then is fucking exposed? Like, really? Like, I don't know. I will say I liked the map in this one. Like, I definitely liked I solemnly swear I am up to no good. And the fucking map scenes. I thought that was a lot of fun with Harry and then of course Ron's brothers, Fred and George. I liked that. If you ever watch the series Wizards of Waverly Place, they kind of play homage to the Harry Potter character of Professor Crumbs, kind of resembles Dumbledore. Oh, really? I didn't know that. I love how Harry blows up his uncle's sister. Yeah, no, that's funny shit. In this movie, this is the first time that we could see the magic map. Yes, I like the magic map. I definitely like that too. Bye, everyone. Missy, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you for showing the love. I always appreciate the support. I don't know. Overall, I like this one. I think it's really solid. I'm going to probably come in at about an S again. I really like Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. I think it's a damn good movie. Like, I think it's a really good third movie and a movie that it definitely, it's earned its reputation. Like a lot of people consider this one the best, and I could totally see why. So that's Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban coming in at another S tier. So far, 3 for 3. We got three great movies to me. And I really don't think it stopped there because the next one I quite love too. And before I do that, we got another person in the house. Jamie Hart is here. Welcome, Jamie. I think my favorite is Order of the Phoenix. I love to hate Umbridge. Okay, so I think that was Trenchy's least favorite. So very interesting there. We're close to that one. Not one of my faves, but welcome to the graveyard, my friend. I hope all is well with you tonight. Let's move on, though, into the next film of the series. This came out in the year 2005. Another one I saw in the theater. This is Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Harry Potter returns to Hogwarts for his 4th year, where the Triwizard Tournament is soon to begin. Students must be over 17 to enter, with the winner receiving eternal glory. Harry can't enter it this year, or can he? When his name is read out of the Goblet of Fire, everyone assumes that Harry has cheated and put his name in it. Harry insists that he never placed his name in there with someone else behind it, but who? Harry must now survive through dragons, sea creatures, and a terrifying maze, all before coming face to face with a particular dark wizard. Yes, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. I love this one too. I think this is a great movie. And I've always been a sucker for tournament movies. Like I've always been a big blood sport fan. I love tournament movies. Like I love the whole thing. I'm a total sucker for movies like that. With that being said, I love everything revolving around the Triwizard Tournament. I think it was a good change in pace, and it's one of those movies that brings a great energy to it. And in steps director Mike Newell, who did a really good job, in my opinion. Now, I know a lot of people do not like Mike Newell because he was not a fan of the books. He never bothered to read the book. And a lot of people, say that he was not the right choice in this. And some of his creative choices rub people the wrong way. That's a big reason why part 4 is not as popular as some of the rest of them. But for what it's worth, I thought he did a wonderful job in this movie. And this is an interesting movie too, because this is where they kind of grow up more. They kind of delve into them being young adults in this one. They have this whole kind of ball where they're all learning how to dance and trying to get dates and trying to, hook up with girls and stuff like that. Ron and Harry are, at least. And then, of course, Hermione goes with Victor Crumb. I liked that. I thought that whole sequence was quite well done. And it's kind of one of those things where you can kind of remember back to an era where, we were that age. And that's the thing about these movies, too, that I think is quite important, at least for someone my age. Granted, these actors are a little bit older than me, but I grew up with them, if that makes any sense. Like I was what, 4 when the first movie came out? You grow up with them and watch them grow older as I was growing older. So, seeing this particular movie, I wasn't quite there yet, but when I got to that point, this is a movie that definitely crossed my mind. Like, oh my God, the Harry Potter ball and, the nerves of asking a girl to the dance or whatever the hell, like that's definitely something to me that anybody that can relate to that has been around that age point in their life. And I thought that it was really well done here. And then, of course, I think the tournament stuff is really well done too. You have this great sequence where Harry must retrieve an egg from a dragon and he calls upon the broomstick and he's flying around and the dragon chases him in a really fun kind of chase sequence. I liked that whole sequence. You have this interesting sequence where you have to go underwater for an hour and save a loved one. And I thought that was really well done. And then it kind of all culminates in this great like hedge maze and almost an homage to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining, this really dark, evil hedge maze where Mike Newell limited the music there and just kind of let all the atmosphere kind of drain upon the scenery. I love that hedge maze sequence. I thought it was really well done here. Just like creepy, atmospheric. This might be the closest to a horror any of them got. Like I think there's some horrific shit in here, but I do think that the humor was a step up from the previous film. I like the humor here better than I do in part 3. I think maybe another slight knock on part 3 would be that some of the humor in it didn't really work for me where it does in the first 2 in this film. I don't know if the part 3 humor just a little bit iffy, a little bit off for me, but that's a nitpick, nothing like crazy that I'd hold against the movie. Of course, you're introduced to Cedric Diggory, who's played by Robert Pattinson, who has gone on to do so much stuff, whether it be the Twilight movies just a year or 2 after this. And then, of course, now he's Batman. It's crazy. He's done so many great movies, Robert Pattinson, and it's cool to see him here. And I think he does a decent enough job in the role. He doesn't have much to do. He's just kind of the pretty boy that everybody likes and expects to win this tournament. And he's really cool with Harry and stuff like that. But I like how they introduce you to his character and his father, and you see their kind of close relationship. You have Mad Eye Moody in this film, who is played by, I want to get the actor's name right here because I actually don't know his name off the top of my head. I think Mad Eye Moody is. Oh, is he not in the fucking? That's not good. I think Mad Eye Moody is played by Brandon Gleeson, who I think does a good job. Granted, in this film, you sort of find out that he may not be Mad Eye Moody, but that's, I guess, for the end. I like him, though. I think his character is quite fun in this movie. He becomes the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, and he's kind of on Harry's side throughout this whole thing. They do some iffy things, I think, with the like some of the characters. Like, there's a really weird subplot where Ron is mad at Harry because he believes he put his name in there. And I don't understand why Ron didn't like just believe him. Like, you've seen Harry go through all this shit before. It just feel odd and nothing really comes of it. Like, after a while, he's like, you know what? You'd have to be mad to put your name in that. Like, I'm sorry. You know, and it's just a kind of a weird conflict between characters. I didn't think that really needed to be in there. Just, again, nitpick. There's not really much wrong with any of the first four, like just nitpicks here and there. But I don't know. I really like this one. Let's see. Back to comments. I love the fourth Harry Potter. It's definitely an S for me. It might just be an S for me too. Goblet is great. Shows other schools there's a competition. Death Eaters at the Quidditch World Cup and Voldemort Reborn in the Graveyard. Perfect fantasy teenage movie. I would agree with that. I love the finale in the graveyard where the cup, the Triwizard Cup, ends up being this port key, and he and Pattinson grab it together. And they land, and they're in this creepy graveyard. Here at Grande's graveyard. I even got the shirt up right here. So I don't know. Maybe the battle was done in Grande's graveyard. You even see the tomb, says Tom Riddle. I love that. And then, of course, Ralph Fiennes shows up as Voldemort, and he does a great job in the role. I just love Ralph Fiennes. And this kind of final stalemate battle between hero and villain after Voldemort kills Cedric Diggory, the kind of heart and soul of this kind of tournament. Very heartbreaking moment as, you know, once they get back, Cedric Diggory's father, that's my boy, crying his eyes out, just, and everyone just in shock. That's really the moment where these go from kids films to holy shit. This is shit's just hit the fan. Like, Robert Pattinson just got fucking killed. Like, now the gloves are off in this son of a bitch. And I thought it was really well done here. Really like that whole finale and how it plays out. It's well done. And of course, the whole Mad Eye Moody being an imposter, right? And it ends up being none other than fucking Doctor Who himself. What the hell is his name? David Tennant is actually undercover this whole movie as Mad Eye Moody, and David Tennant, you know, was behind all of this and set up Harry to. He put his name in the Goblet of Fire, and he set it all up for this to happen. And what was it like being in the Dark Lord's presence? And I don't remember saying anything about a graveyard. It's a great moment between the two. I don't know. I really like this one as well. I think it has a great energy, probably the best energy of any of them. I would agree. I think he was really good as Batman. I like Batfleck, not Batfleck, Battinson, we call him. Eric is here. What's up, my dude? My wife and I have slowly been going through the series, and I really like it. We've watched the first 5 so far. Interesting, very cool. What are some of your faves, man? I would definitely like to say the first 4 are my favorite. I just watched your review of X too. Excellent stuff. There is an underrated 80s movie I remember seeing called Land of Far Away that is like a pre-Harry Potter. It involves a young boy who also lives with abusive's foster family, and he learns that he's actually a prince. It starred Christian Bale. I've never seen that. That's pretty cool. That sounds like a good movie. Yeah, no, definitely. There's also a horror actor in it, Christopher Lee. Okay, fucking A. That's very cool. Christopher Lee and Christian Bale in the same movie. Very interesting to hear that. I don't know. I like Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire a lot. To me, it's the last great one. I think Mike Newell did a really good job. Like I said, this is kind of a coming of age movie in some ways with the whole dance thing and, you know, discovering girls. Harry has his first love interest in this one, Cho Chang, who I personally liked way better than, you know, anyone else they went with. Like they end up going with Ron's sister, Bonnie Wright, that plays Ginny. And I didn't feel the chemistry there at all. I didn't think those two had any chemistry. Apparently in the books, it's great. But in these movies, man, I didn't really feel the chemistry at all. I actually thought there's definitely more there between he and Cho Chang. And my buddy JP, he made a great point. He said that maybe instead of Cho Chang or Ginny, they should have went with Luna Lovegood as the Harry Potter love interest. That's not a bad idea. even Hermione, I think, would have been a better choice than Ginny. Like, I don't know. I don't really buy that when it gets into that with Half-Blood Prince. Here it's Cho Chang, and which I don't that name is pretty geez. Like, I don't think Cho is a name, so I don't know. that name is kind of but I thought the actress was pretty, and I thought she was a good love interest. Like, I thought that would have been something different, you know. I still wonder if J.K. was inspired by Troll. Oh my God, she totally was. That's right. But I covered that. I covered Troll. She totally was Harry Potter Jr. That's the first Harry Potter movie. Funny enough. But we, you know, it is what it is. Harry Potter 4. Again, I'm gonna come in. I'm sorry to sound like broken record, another S, but I promise this S train is about to be broken. Because now we come across one of my least favorite of the series, arguably my bottom. I don't know if it is the worst. It's this or another one that comes in at the bottom. And this is, of course, from the year 2007. This is Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, or AKA my alternate title for this has always been, since the minute I walked out of the movie theater, I called it this: Harry Potter and the Order of Curly Fries. That's kind of what I think of this movie. Harry Potter and the Order of Curly Fries came out in 2007 with their warning about Lord Voldemort's return scoffed at. Harry and Dumbledore are targeted by the wizard authorities as an authoritarian bureaucrat slowly seizes power at Hogwarts. Yes, Harry Potter and the Order of fucking Curly Fries. I don't know, man. I never cared for this movie at all. Even from the day I saw it in the theater, I was like, like I kind of walked out very underwhelmed. And I think there's a few reasons for that. Number one, the director, David Yates, who would go on to direct this and the rest of the series. I don't see much talent there as a filmmaker. I don't think he's a good filmmaker. I don't think he brought the energy a Mike Newell brought. Despite what people think about Mike Newell and say how bad he is and how he didn't understand the wizarding world. He wanted to burn down the Forbidden Forest, all that shit. I know the Potter marks band together and bash Mike Newell. I get that. He's a better filmmaker than fucking David Yates to me. Visually, energetic wise, like totally better in my opinion. With that being said, this is the only one not written by screenwriter Scott Cloves. Now, I don't know why this happened, but they replaced him here with Michael Goldenberg and then brought him back for the rest of the movie. So this is the only one not written for the screen by Steve Cloves. And I thought that was very interesting. Like, this is the only one written by another party. And I do think it shows, because while I think the first four are world-driven, like they're very world-driven movies. Like the first two, it's introducing this world, and then the second one, it's a kind of a mystery and this great monster battle. Part 3, another mystery and time travel. Part 4, the fun tournament and the fucking hedge maze and all this stuff. Great stuff, world-driven. This movie is character-driven, and I think that's what always turned me against it. There's really not much world driving here. This is a very personal film to the character of Harry Potter. I think the entire movie is really just an arc point for his character. And what do I mean by that? The movie opens where Harry is being made fun of by his cousin Dudley on the fucking playground. The Dementors come, attack him and his cousin. He saves his cousin. Then Harry's banned from Hogwarts briefly, which is bullshit. It's because you're not supposed to do magic outside of school, even though he did it at the beginning of 3 out of the school. He's done it, he's done it out of the school before, but this time it's a big deal. What the hell ever. The kind of whole thing they're trying to sell is at the beginning, Harry feels alone. And then as this movie goes on, like, people are kind of against him. They think he's lying about Voldemort, which I don't understand why. Like, even Seamus goes at him. Like, he's like, my mom thinks you're a fucking liar. And he's like, oh, your mom is dumb or whatever. What? Like, whatever. Basically, Harry decides that he has to build this kind of Dumbledore army and train them all to be the next kind of army that can take on and defeat Voldemort down the road. And, of course, during that time, you're subjected to, I think, the most awful, annoying character of the series. And I know it's a character you're supposed to hate, but it's one that, to me, got too much fucking screen time. And that is Dolores Umbridge, played by, again, I don't have her name up here. That's a shame, because she's like literally this whole movie almost. I could get her name later, I guess. But you have the mean professor, Professor Umbridge, who you're supposed to like love to hate, like Jamie was saying. And maybe you're supposed to, maybe you do. I don't know, just like, her character was just brutal, man. Like very like to me, it's the wrong type of heat. Like you're supposed to hate her, but it was at the point where it was like, dude, this whole movie feels like it's her at this point. Like it's quite weak. And like I was saying before, how it's more character driven. Yes, like Harry has a nice kiss with Cho Chang, but then basically Cho Chang is tricked into giving up that what they're doing, and then Harry doesn't even hear her out. He just turns his back to her. Like what? Like that doesn't seem like something Harry Potter would do. Like, wouldn't he? Okay, he feels love for this girl, yet he completely, I'm not even going to hear your side of the story. Like, he just kind of stiff arms her away. I thought that was kind of lame. I wouldn't think Harry would do that, man. And apparently, from what I've read, J.K. Rowling said this was the worst book. So I don't know really if this was a good idea to switch writers at this point, switch writers from the guy that had written every other screenplay to this newbie. And then I think the movie kind of suffers for that. I don't know. I don't really like this one. For me, it's kind of a weak movie. Let's see what Mateo says. Voldemort versus Dumbledore in the Ministry is an A, but the rest of the movie is like a D. I would agree with that. I think the finale is great. And even I would say it was probably David Yates' best visual filmmaking of the whole series. Like, I don't think he's visually a good filmmaker. And you can even see in the next movie, it's just too dark. Like Half-Blood Prince is just too dark of a movie to me. And I know, it's on purpose, but it's not good either. I've seen dark done good. I've seen dark done wrong. And that's dark done wrong to me. That whole finale where they're fighting Bellatrix and shit like that. And, they have this whole wizard battle. I liked that. And the whole Dumbledore Voldemort thing. And he's using all these good counter spells. I liked that. But yeah, you're right. The rest of the movie around it just kind of sucks to me. Like, I don't find it interesting. To me, it's a big step down in pacing compared to the fourth film. It has this great energy to it, and I'm interested in all the characters. You do get introduced to, as I always say in the Dusty Rhodes voice, Luna Lovegood, baby. Luna Lovegood is in this movie, who I like as a character, but I would agree with Trench, man. She's not used enough. Like, definitely not used enough. This movie is the first feature film to female the antagonist Bellatrix, who's of course Helena Bonham Carter, who's great. I love Helena Bonham Carter, but I don't know, kind of like, again, she shows up, and basically Sirius Black, Gary Oldman, is back in this movie, and he has a lot of scenes with Harry, and Harry's basically comparing himself to Voldemort throughout the whole thing. Like, it's a big part of his character arc. Am I like him? Am I evil like him? You see Harry snap at Malfoy, and that's the only scene Malfoy's even in the movie, the only line he gets. He snaps at Malfoy. He's at a point where he snaps at Dumbledore, where Dumbledore's kind of pacing back and forth, not listening to him, and Harry screams, "Look at me!" And Dumbledore kind of looks like, Harry's, "What's happening to me?" And he speaks with Sirius, and Sirius says, "You're not a bad person. You're a good person. Like, just relax." And I think the whole point of Harry's arc is that he is a good person. He does have all these people that love him. He does have friends, and he realizes that, Voldemort doesn't have that. And he feels sorry for Voldemort, that he does not have friends that love him. And Harry realizes that he does. That's the big difference between he and Voldemort. But my thing is, with that whole thing being said and the whole movie revolving around that character arc, he learned that really at the end of part 2, where he defeats Tom Riddle, and the fucking, Dumbledore says it's not, what our abilities are. It's what we choose to do with them, or something like that. Like, that's the line. Vaguely that's the line. But I don't know. I just personally think that he had already learned that. Like, he already knew that he had friends and stuff like that. That's even the last line of the movie is like, "I have something that Dumbledore doesn't. I have you." It's like, yeah, like, I don't know. Very weak to me. Now, the fifth Harry Potter is a movie I hated for 90% of it. I would agree. I think it's weak. And this one I have. Mernzy's here. Mernzy Movie Mansion. Welcome, my friend. What's up, Grande? Thought I'd drop in and play some Quidditch. Welcome, my friend. I hope you catch the Golden Snitch tonight. If you catch the Golden Snitch, the broadcast ends. Hello, Mernzy, and I definitely think it's a D for me as well. Okay, I've read the first book, seen the first movie, half the Chamber Secrets in 3, but I was drunk. Okay, I would totally recommend the first 4 the best. I think the first 4 are the best. It looks like Nanette's going to give it a D. Honestly, I'm kind of leaning towards that too. I'm going to have to go with you, Nanette. I think it's a D. Like, the finale saves it. It's good acting overall, but I would say the direction is not as good. I think it's poorly directed. I think it's poorly written. I don't know. And I think it's poorly paced. Like, I don't really care for this one. I just never, even when I was a kid and I saw it in theater, I walked out and I was like, man, like, I hope the next one's better. And then the next one really I thought was weak too. And then I burnt out of it. I was like, I'm good. Like I don't really care to see 7. I didn't see it until this show prep. So goes to show you that this movie and then the following one kind of was a derailment for me for the series. So that is Harry Potter Part 5 in the order of curly fries. For me, the weakest one so far and arguably the weakest one of the series. I just never liked it. Like I said, interesting what they tried to do. If you like character-driven movies and you like the whole thing that they're trying to do with Harry's arc, maybe it would be your favorite, as plus with the finale. I just felt like it didn't work. It just really didn't work. To me, it doesn't go good with the first 4 at all. Like I think it's a big step down for me. And speaking of step downs, yeah, this next one is a step down for me. This came out in the year 2009, of course, 2 years after that. This is Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. As Harry Potter begins his 6th year at Hogwarts, he discovers an old book marked as the property of the Half-Blood Prince and begins to learn more about Voldemort's dark past. Yes, Harry Potter Part 6, the Half-Blood Prince. Another one that I would say is quite forgettable, quite overlong and quite bad. I don't really like this. Might be the worst one. I don't know. It's this or Part 5 for me, but I don't like this movie either. This one gets to the point where it looks so dark. Like it looks too dark. And I get that's what they're trying to do is the dark is taking over. And from what I understand, the book of this is almost everyone's favorite. Like the people that read the books, which granted, like I said, I read 2.5. I read the first 2 and half of the third one. And then I saw the coffee size table 4th book and said, no, I'm done. Like I'm not reading. I'm never going to get to that. So with that being said, I know a lot of people love the 6th book, but I do think it's one of the weaker movies. This one kind of delves a little bit into Voldemort's childhood. We have some flashback sequences, which are okay. But again, the kid they play to play Tom Riddle, I think was a little too sinister. Like it's, I don't know. I didn't think he was a good fit. And then you have the teenage Tom Riddle, who's nowhere near as good as the Christian Coulson in Chamber of Secrets was. I don't think that kid did a good job at all. And he just seemed like you knew he was evil. He was just, I don't know. It was too obvious of casting to me. I didn't think it was really good. And then again, Yates, this is an ugly film. I think this might be the ugliest of the films, like visually wise. It doesn't look good. It's kind of ugly. And tonally, it's all over the place. Like there's points where it's almost trying to be Goblet of Fire, where Ron has this love interest and it's not Hermione and she's head over heels in love with Ron. And she gives Ron a love potion at one point, which is whatever. Ron almost dies in this film. And then, like, after he almost dies, he goes, these girls are going to kill me. And it's supposed to be funny, but it's, I don't know, the whole scene was so serious. You're dying, and then you pay it off with a joke. What? Weird dinner scene. Weird, like, this is a movie where Professor Snape murders Dumbledore. Spoiler. But it's also a movie where someone throws up on Snape's shoes. Like, it's so tonally confused. Like it's almost trying to be funny. And then it's like the darkest one in some scenes. Like Dumbledore dies in this. I think the best scene in the movie is where Harry and Dumbledore go to destroy one of the Horcruxes, and Harry has to feed Dumbledore this like liquid that he'll like reject. He wants to reject. He says, you have to keep feeding it to me, otherwise we can't destroy it. And that whole sequence I thought was quite powerful. I thought it was really good. And I thought it was probably the best performance by the replacement Dumbledore, the second guy that played Dumbledore. I thought he did a really good job in this particular one. Of course, it's the one that he gets fucking killed in. But I don't know. I thought he did a decent enough job. He's not as good as Richard Harris, but I think he did a good enough job. I don't know. Tonally, this one's a mess. There's not much to run home about character-wise. Like, you have a lot of Professor Slughorn, who was the teacher that taught Tom Riddle, and you have some parallels with he and Harry. You get to see into the memory vault of Dumbledore as we look at a couple of the flashbacks. I don't know, maybe we could have used more flashbacks. Maybe they could have been better delivered. I don't know. And then the whole finale, it works where Malfoy is supposed to kill Dumbledore. But you really don't get much of Malfoy in this movie or in the 3 movies leading up to it. Like, he's a fucking bitch in part 3. He has literally nothing to do in part 4. He has even less to do in part 5. I think he has one line in Order of Phoenix. And then in this movie, it's like, oh, you're this chosen one to kill Dumbledore. It's like, whoa, like, he had nothing to do in the previous 3 movies, and now he's the one that's chosen to kill Dumbledore just because his father is Lucius Malfoy. Really? Like, I wouldn't say thumbs down to that, man. I didn't like that. I didn't think it was earned really. And then okay, if you didn't earn it, whatever, you could build upon it in this movie. They didn't really do that. It's just kind of he's sitting awkwardly or depressed in the corner and he's conflicted and he can't bring himself to do it and he breaks down when he's supposed to kill Dumbledore. If I don't kill you, they'll kill me. And I know it's supposed to be like you feel bad, but whatever, man. I don't know. Like I just didn't feel it, man. I don't even know if it was the actor's fault. I think it was just really poor writing. Like they didn't give him enough to do leading up to this. It was just like, oh, he's a dick. And that's really all his character was leading up to this until, oh, now you're supposed to kill fucking the greatest sorcerer and the fucking, the dean or whatever of all these kids. Odd, just odd to me. Didn't really truly work. Didn't hit home for me. I don't know, man. This might be the weakest one. It's either 5 or 6 for me. That's the weakest. I don't know. You know what? I actually might think this is the weakest. I'm for now going to say it's an F. I don't like this movie. I really don't. Like, I think it's arguably the most pointless of all of them too. Like, I think it's very fucking pointless. Like, I don't think there's that much aside from the last 20 minutes that you really need to know. Like, you learn about the Horcruxes, yes, but theoretically you learned about them in the second movie. Like, couldn't it have been mentioned in the last movie about the Horcruxes? Like, okay, this is what we're going to need to do. Like, when he's assembling Dumbledore's army, maybe that gets discovered then. And we see the memory of Tom Riddle then. Like, I don't know. I think you maybe could have taken some of the elements at the beginning of this one, applied it to Order of the Phoenix, took some of Umbridge out, and then taken the last 20 minutes. And, like, I don't know. I definitely think you could have skip this movie entirely. Like, I don't think there's that much here to run home about. And tonally, it's the biggest mess of all of them. So for now, yeah, I'm going to say Half-Blood Prince is the weakest for me, which is a surprise because I definitely always thought that this one was better than 5. Like, I remember in the theater, I walked out and I said, that was better than 5, but I'm kind of burnt out on these movies. And I didn't see 7 until literally last week. So, I mean, it is what it is. But for me, Half-Blood Prince is kind of weak. I don't know. I don't enjoy the movie at all. I think it's one of the weaker ones. So for now, I'm going to say an F. Definitely gave it a D. I've heard they get darker, so I think I'd like the later ones. See, that's the thing, though. This one, not a good dark for me. Like, I don't know. Like, I maybe Deathly Hallows is a better dark than this for sure. I would say Chamber of Secrets is my favorite for sure, but I don't know. Like, it's definitely be interesting. I'd definitely love to hear your thoughts on the whole series if you ever get around to watch them. I like Half-Blood Prince. I put it at a B. Okay, definitely. I know my friend JP really likes Half-Blood Prince as well, so I might be in the minority here. It's revealed that Bellatrix is his aunt. Yes, that's right. And she kills fucking Gary Oldman in the previous movie. She does a lot. Like, she's basically the number 2 villain, like next to Voldemort. She's great. Like, I love Helena Bonham Carter. She's a great energy presence to this. I agree, John. This is the worst adaptation from book to movie. The story and the twist at the end are good, but the movie realization is bad. I agree. I think it's like, I think it's quite poor in its execution. Like, I don't know. Like, I just think tonally, like, what were they going for here? Like, all of the love scene, like oh, this girl likes Ron, and Ginny likes Harry now, and they just randomly kiss. There's nothing between those characters, like nothing. There's a random scene where, from what I understand, is not in the book, where the fucking Death Eaters destroy the Weasley house, and they all kind of like have a standoff, and like I don't know, just didn't do anything, man. I think it's a weak film. Which Harry Potter film is the most magical? I would say the first one. The first one is the most like, wow, like this is this world. Like, it's the introduction to it. But I would say that the second one's my favorite. I like the second one. Mernsey, let me ask you this. Are you a fan of tournament movies? Because if so, you might love Goblet of Fire. Goblet of Fire is the Triwizard Tournament. And I went over that one. I really love that one. I think it's a fun, like, I'm a sucker for a good tournament movie. Like, I love Bloodsport and, movies like that. So if you like tournament movies, I think the fourth one might be your best bet because it has a lot of action and energy and it has a little bit of coming of age in there. And I don't know, I really like the atmosphere of part 4. I think Mike Newell brought a really good energy to this series. So that's why I really like that one. I like adventure. I think I could vibe with them. Yeah, no, for sure. I would say the first 4 are the ones I recommend the most. I'd say 1 and 2 the most magical. 3 is the most like cinematically sound, like it's the best directed one, and then part 4 is that best energy. And then from here on out, kind of blah to me. We move on, and this next one I would say is a moderate step up, but I don't know how far of a step up I would say. This next one here came out in the year 2010, I believe. Yes, 2010. This is Harry Potter Part 7, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Of course, the last book was too big to make into one movie alone, so they decided, fuck it, two movies will make more than one. Let's split it into two parts. As Harry, Ron, and Hermione race against time and evil to destroy the Horcruxes, they uncover the existence of the three most powerful objects in the wizarding world, the Deathly Hallows. This one is far more exposition, whereas Deathly Hallows Part 2 is like the action. It's like the end game, if you will. It's Harry Potter Endgame is the second part, whatever. I like this one better than the last two. I'll say that right off the bat. But with that being said, it's really, really talky, to the point where it's like it could be quite boring, and it may be like even slower paced than Part 5. Like, I think it's a slowly paced film. Basically, Harry, Ron, and Hermione, they go out into the woods, and a lot of this movie takes place in a fucking tent. That you have a wedding sequence that all the Voldemort and all of them are looking to kill Harry, and they decide to have this public wedding in a tent. It's a fucking bad idea. I don't know. I thought that was a quite bad idea. You do have a fun sequence where everybody drinks the polyjuice potion to look like Harry, and so to like kind of mislead Voldemort or whatever. And Harry and Hagrid kind of ride on Hagrid's like little tripod motorcycle. I thought that was fun, a fun sequence. But again, after that, the movie really slows down, like that opening chase, and then it slows down from there. And it's really much more of a character movie, but I would say it's a better character movie than Part 5 is. Like, there's a scene where Harry and Hermione just dance. Like they're having a rough time. Ron has left them at this point, and they decide to dance with each other. And it's a nice kind of way to explore their relationship. Like, could it have been romantic? I think so, but it didn't go there, and they didn't have to. They're best friends, and it's a nice scene between the two of them, Emma Watson and Daniel Radcliffe. I think they're great. I think the main three actors are great in all of these movies. I like that. There's some little character moments in this one I like. It almost reminds me a little bit of Dawn of the Dead, my favorite all-time movie, where you just get time to like ease in with the characters as they're just kind of like enjoying their own company. I don't know. I like when movies do that. I think it's done well here. I think, for what it's worth, that, it, like I said, it is slow paced. It might be the most slowest paced of them, but it's again, I think it might be a slight step up above the last two. This maybe because it feels like, we're setting up for the finale now, whereas the other two kind of spin their wheels a little bit more. But I don't know. Like, with that said, it's nothing perfect. There is a fun sequence where they go into the Ministry of Magic, and or it might be Gringotts. I'm not sure. I think they might go to Gringotts, and basically they all drink polyjuice potion of other people, and they have to get one of the Horcruxes off of Umbridge. That whole sequence was fun. I enjoyed that sequence. And then, like I said, they go into the woods, and the movie just slows down. And there's things I like, there's things I don't like. You get the whole story of the Deathly Hallows, and some people are taken captive, like Luna Lovegood, and Dobby shows up in this one randomly again, who for some reason looks worse in this movie than he did in Part 2. CGI wise, like the CGI looked bad in this movie, I thought, as compared to the second movie. I don't know. This one is a mixed bag for me. Like, I would like to say I like it more than the previous two movies, though. Like, it's definitely a better than 6, I think. I think 6 is the weakest. Now I'm really like talking this out, but I don't know, man. It very, very blah. I like Part 1, but I put it a C. I might be right there. I don't know. There's a deleted scene in Deathly Hallows Part 1 where it's revealed Aunt Petunia does have a heart. That's right. That's right. And Dudley apologizes to Harry. Dudley walks up to him and says, "I'm really sorry." That shouldn't have been cut out. Like, of all the things in this movie, you cut that out. I thought that was weird. This is a character moments movie, which is interesting. And they cut some of that best stuff out, which was weird. They have Hermione wipe her parents' memory of her because they're mudbloods, if you will. And basically, Voldemort has a thing against, if you're not pure blood, if you're not born as a wizard, you're evil to him. That's hence in Chamber of Secrets, all the mudbloods are getting petrified. I didn't think that Hermione necessarily had to do that. Like, why wouldn't you just say, like, hey, go into hiding? I would think Voldemort has more on his hands than to just go and kill Hermione's parents. Like, I think they would have been fine, but I don't know. I thought that was kind of not needed. But although people argue with me to the death, so maybe I'm ignorant. 7 is the worst for me. The pace is so slow. Good part, the death of Dobby. I would agree. You know what? And that's supposed to be really, really sad. I didn't feel it at all, man. We haven't seen Dobby since part 2. Almost forgot about Dobby. And then it's like, oh, wait, he shows up and saves the day. He bails them out of, like, they're all locked up, and Peter Pettigrew is there, and he stuns Pettigrew. That's the last we see of Pettigrew, who betrayed Harry's parents. It's the last we see of him, which I thought was weak. He doesn't even get killed. He just gets knocked out. He's ooh, and goes down. Weak, lame, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, and they're like, Dobby gets killed by Bellatrix, and it's like very. I know it's going for a heart, but I didn't really feel it. It was just too long without seeing Dobby to me. I like part 1, but it's not my favorite, so I'm putting it as a C. I might be right there with you, but I don't know. Like, Mateo makes a good point. Maybe this could be the worst one too. Like, I don't know. I've seen it once. I've only seen this in part 2 one time, so maybe in time they'll change. But I don't know if I'd go back and rewatch this in any hurry. Like, I don't know. Like, I've seen 5 and 6 twice now. And I do think they're the weakest, but I would say that this one, it's like, it kind of spins its wheels a little bit too. But I would say, I don't know, maybe just the character moments save this one for me. I like that they have this one Horcrux that if you wear it, it changes your mood. And they all at one point just start turning mean and not themselves. And Ron leaves them at a point because he's so mad about it. I liked that. And them trying to destroy the Horcrux. I liked that. I thought some of the stuff that they did in this movie worked. But overall, yeah, I would have to say it's not great either. This would either be a C or a D for me. I'm going to say, man, this is tough. For now, I'm going to go like a C minus. I think it's just going to make the C rank for me. It's close to a D, though. I don't know. We could talk about it at the end. Does Harry and Voldemort have a pretty good duel in the end, or is it kind of rushed? Well, we're about to get there. I mean, this is the last movie is the fucking Deathly Hallows Part 2, where they have their battle. So I guess we can go right there. That brings me to the final film of the series, unless you count the Fantastic Beasts movies, which I've never seen or really care to see. This is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. Yes. Harry, Ron, and Hermione search for Voldemort's remaining Horcruxes in their effort to destroy the Dark Lord as the final battle rages on at Hogwarts. This is basically Harry Potter Endgame, whereas Part 1 has it's like an exposition movie. And like my joke when I watched it, like it ended, and I was like, was the whole movie in the fucking tent? Like that was, I swear to you, I said that as soon as it ended. I was like, what the fuck? Like, just thought that was kind of odd. This one, it's much more like is the final battle, and it takes place at Hogwarts. About an hour in, the battle starts. Like it's only a 2 hour. How long is this movie? 2 hour and 10 minutes. It might be the shortest one. It's pretty brief, and the battle doesn't start too late into the film. So I would give it for that. But I will say this one has some of the weirdest booking decisions to me in the whole series. Like, I don't understand some of this. Like, the final battle itself, okay. Thematically, I love that it takes place at Hogwarts. And I like that McGonagall fights Snape, and you have some fun standoffs. Don't get me wrong. I think some of the booking decisions here and the writing was really bad. Like, Bellatrix, perfect example, Bellatrix murdered Sirius Black, Harry's godfather, murdered Dobby the house elf. She has all this heat on her. And who kills her? Not Harry, not, Ron, not anybody. Oh, she also murdered Neville Longbottle's parents. She murdered Neville's parents, right? Murdered them. He doesn't kill her. Who kills her? Ron Weasley's mom? The mom kills her? Like, what? Like, I'm watching this, I'm like, what the fuck? Of all the people to kill Bellatrix, Voldemort's second in command, they went with Mama Weasley? Fucking weird. And it's a 2-second fight. It's like boom, boom, boom. And she fucking kills that bitch. And that's it. That Helena Bonham Carter, who killed like everybody, their fucking mother, literally. Everybody, their grandfather, their fucking parents. Horrible. Like, Neville should have got that moment to me. Or Ron. Or somebody like that had emotional stake in there. But instead, they try to give Neville his moment where he stands up to Voldemort. And he ends up killing one of the Horcruxes, the snake. But I like, to me, it was so much more personal for Neville to kill her because, she tortured his parents to the point of death. That's like, I don't understand why Mrs. Weasley is chose there. Like, what? Like, she's barely in these fucking movies. Nice, sweet lady. I like the actress. But really, like, what? And then there's other really weird booking decisions, like Ron and Hermione don't kill the last Horcrux. It's Neville. Okay, like, interesting. I mean, it is what it is. And it's kind of Neville that gets the last hit on Voldemort, not Harry, which was, I don't know, to answer Mernzy's, question. The final battle is okay. It's mostly a stalemate between the two. The best moment is he walks to him at a cliff. Like, they're both like on the edge of Hogwarts school. And Harry says, we're going to end this as we started this, Tom, together. And he grabs him and they fly off the edge together. That's the best scene of the battle between those two. I liked that battle. But also, I would say that there's some interesting, like, off-screen deaths in this. Like, David Thewlis, the Professor Lupin character, killed off-screen. Like, what? Like, one of the Weasley brothers, the one of the twins, he gets killed off screen. What? Like, so many people just get fucking, like, important characters. Like, oh, they died in the battle. They died off screen. I get maybe the argument to me would be, oh, well, that's how it is in a real battle. Like, you wouldn't be the most important people to survive. I get that. But at least show me them getting killed. No? Like, I thought that was quite weird. I don't know. Now, part 2 is a better movie, and I have a lot of fun with it, and I'd give it a B. Okay, Dan is here. Dan, welcome to the graveyard, my friend. Yo, just got in here, Grande. Welcome, my friend. Horrible booking on that. It should have been Neville. I agree. I really do. I don't know. Like, I don't understand. Like, you built her up. Like, she killed Harry's godfather, and he doesn't even fight her. Like, I don't know. It was so emotional for so many other people, and then Mrs. Weasley. Like, it's fucking odd. I don't know. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Either Harry or Neville. I would agree. I totally agree. I think it should have been one of them for sure. I don't know. I will give it an A/B, a good closure. Like the fact that a lot of good characters die, lots of action too. Death of Snape is a great scene. Flashback never fails. Yes. I would say that's a very good part of this movie where fucking Snape, you learn that he loved Harry's mom and he kind of sacrifices himself for Harry. And there's even a scene where Harry, like, sees all the ghosts in the afterlife. Like, he sees his parents and Sirius. I think Snape should have been there. I think he should have had one final moment. Like, Snape, I was wrong about you. Like, something like that. Like, I was wrong about you. I'm sorry. I always thought you were a fucking scumbag. I'm sorry. And then Harry, no worries. I can understand why you thought that. But I liked the flashback sequence here where Snape was there the night that they were killed and he's crying with Lily Potter in his arms. And you even get this really nice flashback where Snape and Lily, they fell in love as kids. And even so, they both would transform themselves into doves. I don't know. My heart went out to Snape here. And I almost wish you could have fucking focused on that. Maybe in one of the other movies. It's hinted at in part 5, the Order of fucking Curly Fries. It's hinted there that he was bullied by James Potter and he loved fucking Lily, but James Potter pantsed him and shit, and he was a dick to him. That's why he's a dick to Harry, but he really loved Harry. I don't know. It feels like too much of a dump here where it could have been explored in other movies to me. Cho Chang is my least favorite Harry Potter character. I liked Cho Chang, but they don't do anything with her after the fucking 5th one. It's like, okay, she's love interest in part 4, and she's going to the fucking prom with Battinson, and then for some reason, in the 5th one, she sells them out because Umbridge, like, drugged her fucking drink or potion or whatever, and then it's like Harry's like, fuck off, and then she's there in this movie, but she's in the background. It's like, oh yeah, there's Cho. Like, what? Like, I would take her and Harry over Harry and Ginny. I didn't buy any bit of chemistry between Bonnie Wright and Daniel Radcliffe. I didn't think they had one hair of chemistry. Not one. I just thought it was weak. I don't know. And Ginny, the character in the books I've heard, is much stronger and heroine-esque and tough. Then in the movie, she's nothing. Like, she's just boring ginger. Like, ginger snap, man. Like, I don't know. I didn't really care for her. Blue-balled Harry. Yo, she didn't though. Like Harry and Vervain blue-balled her. I don't know. Like, maybe the writers blue-balled her. I don't know. Have a good night, everyone. Sean, thank you so much for the support, man. It means a lot. I appreciate that. They do not die off screen. They put it in the movie, but you have to have the expanded movie to see the death scene. Oh, so it's in an extended cut, you see them die on screen. Is that right? I don't know. I didn't even know there was an extended cut of this movie. So if that's the case, I didn't see the extended cut. I didn't even know that there was one. I watched the theatrical 2 hour and 10-minute cut. Out of curiosity, how long is the extended cut of this? I'd be interested to know. Harry's dad was a jerk off, most over glorified character. Yeah, he was. He was a fucking piece of shit, to be honest. But I don't know. I did like the scenes with Snape. I liked the final battle. It was fun. It definitely was the best since part 4. Like, it had the most energy of any of them since part 4. It definitely had some interesting exposition moments, even though it's mainly a battle film. It's the most fun after part 4 to me. So I would say, based on that, it's going to be, I would say it's around a B. I think it's a solid B movie. So very interesting tier list here. 3 hours and 52 minutes. Holy shit. Well, no wonder they cut it down. Wow. Okay, so I didn't even know that was a actual thing. I didn't know that there was a real cut that was that long of it. So I missed out on that. So maybe one day I'll get around to watching the 3 hour, 52-minute cut. You do have an interesting sort of send-off for the characters where it's like 10, 15, 20 years later, and they're dropping off their kids at the train. I thought that was nice. And Harry, for some reason, names his kid Albus Severus Potter, which is, Snape and Dumbledore, his tribute to them, which I don't know. I thought that was kind of iffy. I don't know. It just is what it is. I don't know. Like, this movie, it has a nice heart. It's a nice send off. It's a nice finale to close the book on these characters. But overall, I don't think it was anywhere near as good as the first 4, but it was the best one since part 4. So with that being said, this is the Harry Potter movies ranked. So we have the first 4 all coming in at S tier. I know probably people would be like mad that none of these made it to an A. I would actually say if they had to, any of them, if I had to bring one of them down, it would actually be part 3. But again, I still think part 3 is badass, so I'd keep it as an S. That would just be a row filler, if you will. And then, of course, Deathly Hallows Part 2 as a B, Deathly Hallows Part 1 as a C, Harry Potter and the Order of fucking Curly Fries as a D, and then Harry Potter and the Half-Baked Prince as an F. I don't know. I think 5 and 6 are the worst. I'll stand by that for now. I've only seen 7 once, both parts, and I haven't seen the extended cut. So maybe, just maybe, I would like that better. But a 4-hour cut, man, that kind of makes me like, no, I'm good on that shit. What do you have in F? I'm on the phone. I can't see. I have part 6 on the F, and then part 5 is a D. I gave part 5 a pass just because I like the finale, and then part 6 just overall I think is kind of I don't know. Half-Blood Prince didn't care for it. Did you read any of the books? Yes, I did. I read the first 2 books and then half of the third one. And what happened was, I was talking in the beginning, I saw the size of the 4th book, and it's like a coffee table, and I was like, fuck that, I'm not reading the 4th one. So it just discouraged me. I was like, no, like I'm not going to finish these, so I'm not going to even bother. I would easily put Half-Blood Prince before Order. Okay, fair enough. I think a lot of people like Order. Half-Blood Prince. I don't know, maybe I'm in the minority there. I just thought it was the ugliest of all of them. Like I don't know. It's just kind of iffy for me. Yeah, unless you're Scorsese. Yeah, no, for real. I'm good on that. Finale is definitely good. From Order makes up for Umbridge. Well, Umbridge doesn't really get her much come up, and she gets stupefied in part 7, part 1, where Harry goes, I must not tell lies. And I wish her character would have been fucking torn apart in the 5th one. Like when Harry gets her to be taken away by those like half man, half horse creatures. I wish they would have just tore her apart and killed her, man. Umbridge is the most awful character in all these movies. She's just the biggest bitch in the whole franchise. And man, you wish she had gotten a better just desserts. But then again, a lot of people the same way. Like Peter Pettigrew should have died. I wish the Dursleys would have got their comeuppance, like it's kind of odd. Some of that stuff was odd, I think, in my opinion. I don't know. I just like the scene where Snape kills Dumbledore for Draco. Yeah, no, the last 10, 15 minutes of that movie, I think, are solid. I like when they're, he's having Dumbledore drink the stuff, but the rest of it is just a mess to me. Like the first 2 hours of that movie tonally is all over the place. Like, oh, Ron has a different love interest now. And then, oh, she'll be written out of the film 30 minutes from now. And there's flash, like, I don't know. It just is a mess. The sixth one's a mess. You can't watch it on streaming services. You can only watch it on DVD or Blu-ray set. I believe they're on HBO Max and they might be on Peacock, I think. I think they are. I don't know. I watched them on Plex. Scene was powerful. Yeah, no, it was for sure. What's your Hogwarts house, Grande? We all got to know. Believe it or not, I said it at the outro. And the reason that this is green tonight is I was Slytherin. They did back in the day when I was in school, we had gym class and fucking basically what happened was they put a wizard hat and they put a microphone in the hat, like stood it up like this. And they had like some guy in another room read your names off the list and sort you into the houses. And then you'd play like gym games, you know, like football and stuff like that. It was so much fun. And I remember like I was one of the last names called. It was John Grande. And you had to walk up to the hat and then it would tell you what house you were in. And it was like each corner of the gymnasium. It was a lot of fun. And he's Slytherin. And all right, went to Slytherin. I didn't think it fit, quite honestly, but I was like, yo, hell yeah, man, Slytherin for life. So yeah, that's why I did the green here, Mernsey. I was a Slytherin guy. Slytherin in, that's my thing. I'm talking about the extended cut. Oh, okay. Okay, I apologize. So that's why I couldn't watch that. I'm a Slytherin. I took the test. Oh, did you? I never took the test. I would be curious where I could take the test. Maybe after I end this, I'll take the test and see. And it turns out like I'm a fraud. Maybe I'm a Ravenclaw. I don't know. But yeah, no, Slytherin was my house. I know they're just coming out with the Harry Potter Hogwarts game, which looks amazing, and I'm going to get it. It's on PS5 now. Like you can get it today on a PS5. I have PS4, so I have to wait till like April to get my copy of the game. But I'm so excited to play that because this looks like really fun. My friend Mark got the game, and we're planning on playing it this weekend at his crib. So I'm super excited to play that. I don't know. I kind of excited to play that. That's awesome. LOL, dude. Same. Slytherin's in the house. Hell yeah, baby. I get that link for you. I'll send it. Hell yeah. Yeah. Message me the link, man. But yeah, everybody, if you want to let me know how you'd rank the franchise really quick, you can let me know in the comments down below, 1 through 8. You totally can. If not, no worries. I had a really great time tonight on Grande's Graveyard, switching things up and doing things a little bit different, stepping away from the horror world. I can let you know next week we're going to have a special guest on, Mr. Terrence M. Yes, Terrence of Psycho Babble Talk. I've been on his channel. I've been a guest on there a few times. He's going to come on and we're going to discuss all things Romero Dead Saga. Yes, from night to dawn to day to land to diary and survival of the dead. Yes, the Romero Dead Saga. I'm super excited to have him on. Now, interesting, he can only make the show Friday, so we're going to have the show Friday. However, if I'm up for it, I'll still do a show Thursday. We'll throw like a fun show in there, maybe. I don't know, like maybe like a different type of show where I don't have to do as much prep because I'm going to rewatch all the Romero Dead Saga films. So maybe we'll do a best performances or best actresses performances or something like that, like something fun that would be interactive, just to keep the same Thursday programming. Because I know when I do different days or different times, it can mess up people. So I definitely don't want to do that. So if I have the time, if I can, I'll definitely do a show next Thursday as well. Well, I can, but I have already done that. That's true. You did it along the whole way, so I appreciate that. It seemed like Mateo had some interesting picks on these too, so definitely cool. And it seems like we definitely had more people at the beginning than the end, so it is what it is. If you guys catch the replay and you want to give me your 1 through 8, totally let me know. Magical episode Grande. Cheers. 10 points for Gryffindor. Well, 10 points for Slytherin now. 11 points for Slytherin. As a saga in the top 10, but high, like 8 or 9, great overall B. I would agree with that. I like if you stopped at 4, if somehow 4 had ended it, I would say best franchise ever. But yeah, the rest of them kind of drop it down a little bit. But again, I would agree. I would say it's a top 10 saga for me. I would totally agree with that. I think you're right in the same ballpark for me. So I would definitely agree. Everybody, I want to say thank you so much for watching. This was a really, really fun show. And then that says I'm a Ravenclaw. Very cool. Okay. I'll take the test for Dan just to confirm if I'm Slytherin or not. So we'll see what that goes. Sauce and Wilson, D-Ray, D-Roy, and O'Roy. Oh, really? Okay. Very cool. Very cool. I thought you said that Wilson wasn't even up for it or something. I don't know. My memory must have failed me there, but is what it is. Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, safe, happy, healthy weekend, and we will catch you next time only on the Graveyard. 2 Sweet Peace, and we'll catch you next time. Good night, everybody.